Hello. Hello. Years 5 and 6, we're just going to have kind of a short library lesson today, and we're not going to jump into our term 2 learning, which we'll be doing in library lessons this term. We'll talk more about that next week. For this week, I just wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know that we will continue to do our library delivery and pickup system next week and the week after, and hopefully by week 3 or 4 we'll have some return to students at school, and we can get back to normal, or something close to normal. Anyways, I wanted to share some books that we are adding to the library that are already added in our library or are getting added on Monday or Tuesday of next week. So you will be able to borrow them either next week or in 2. Okay. I'll keep moving quickly so this video doesn't get too long, and then later we'll read a book together and we'll look at how we are going in our Premier's Reading Challenge. Okay, very quickly, this one I've had on my reading list since last December. It's called Scary Stories for Young Foxes, and it's written by Christian McKay Heidecker, and it's got some really great illustrations throughout it by a person named Junyi Wu. It's kind of like, it says it's scary stories. As with a lot of cases, they're not overly scary. They're a bit, dark, but it's that traditional storytelling, which is kind of like a little bit spooky, a little bit heartwarming, and it's about sort of that tradition of telling stories to around a campfire or before bed. They're a little creepy, but then aren't really that creepy at the end. But they're all very clever, and they're very readable, and it's a very enjoyable book of short stories. So it's sort of about a mother fox taking her kids and telling them these bedtime stories that are a bit freaky and creepy, a little bit. Anyways, it's a very lovely book. It is ready for borrowing. You can find that on our library system, and let me know if that's a book you'd like to read. Small Spaces. I don't know if I've shown this to you. It's not ready for borrowing. I've had it at home here to read before I put it in the library, and I just keep forgetting it's there, or I get caught up in other books. I believe this is more of a real deal scary book. R.L. Stine, who's called it a suspenseful book and terrifying and fun. It's a bit like a mystery story, a bit like a modern day fairy tale, in which kids find themselves in dangerous situations, like an old school fairy tale, not the new ones, which everyone lives happily ever after. It's more like the older style fairy tales, where if you do the wrong thing, bad things happen to you. And I'm told it's quite good, and I'd really like to jump into it and read a little bit today. But we'll see. Small Spaces, have a look for that one. Some of you have read some Choose Your Own Adventure books. This is the Choose Your Own Ever After, and we've had a couple of these in our library. I think they might be in the high school library. This one may end up there, but you can absolutely borrow it, even in year 5, certainly year 6. Whereas a lot of Choose Your Own Adventure books are very adventure-based. The Choose Your Own Ever After looks at more like it's a Choose Your Own Adventure with social settings and the implications of the decisions you make in a social environment, and the decisions you make in how you treat other people, and where that path can take you at school or in life. And so this one's about a girl named Allie who has a really bossy, overbearing friend, and as they go from year 6 to year 7 and into high school, Kat is still continuing to boss around Allie, and Allie wants to maybe choose a different path. And so the story follows these 2 possible different directions. They give you 2 different stories. Pick a path or Choose Your Own Adventure book. Have a look for that one. It's not ready, but will be on Monday or Tuesday. Okay, last 2. Stargazing came out last year, and everybody loved it, and I just kept forgetting to buy it, but I did get it just before the holidays. It's written and illustrated by a person named Jen Wang, who was an Chinese American, and it is about a really small story about her life growing up as a Chinese American with parents who really expected her to do the right thing and always be, I guess, a bit proper and to do as she was told. And she, that's okay. It's nothing too extreme. And then she meets a girl named Moon, who is very different than her. She's kind of larger than life, a bit loud, a little bit confident, even though she's different looking. And her and Moon become friends. And Moon kind of draws, I think her name is Christine, a little bit out of her bubble and out of her quiet shyness. And it's about, I guess, making decisions to be yourself, but also be respectful of your parents, as well as letting go, because sometimes we make friends with people and it's hard to let them be friends with other people. Very good book. Lots going on here. It's sort of in the Rainer Telgemeier style, kind of semi-realistic drawings, and just a nice story. In fact, Rainer Telgemeier says that that she loved it. It was intimate and sweet, and that she would give it to every kid she knew if she could. Okay. Last book, similar, whereas this is a Chinese American story. This is a Chinese Australian story, and this one is probably it's quite different. In this book, the older brother, whose name I can't remember, and the younger brother move to Australia from China. They don't know anything about Australian culture. They don't know any English, and it's about how difficult it is for, I think his name is Jing Wen, who is the older brother, how difficult it is for him to start in a new school, in a new situation with people he doesn't know. He's worried that because he doesn't know what's happening around him, and he's conscious of how other people view him, he starts to wonder if he's slow, and he starts to really have a lot of doubt whether if he's smart enough to be in year 6, and if he is in fact a bit of a twit or a dummy. And of course he's not. He doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak the language, and he sort of feels that he's a bit of a monster or an alien. And then his idea is the more he learns about English and the more he learns about Australia, the less alien he seems to feel and is looked upon as being. That is a Premier's Reading Challenge book, and I'm pretty sure that this is too. We'll talk a little bit later about some Premier's Reading Challenge books that aren't Premier's Reading Challenge books and how you can add them to your list. I'm hoping that most of you are done already. Okay. I hope to see you soon. We'll have a little read in a few minutes, and that's all.